2024, and interestingly, it's about 2 weeks and 2 days to Christmas. And just so you know, as far as the show is concerned, this morning we'll take a look at activities and activities from our selected stock exchanges this morning, and commodity reports also on the opening bell segment. We'll also take out the time to look at business news stories around Africa and the rest of the world on global business. And then, we'll focus on the Southeast, where we'll take a look at activities and the Southeast business based on the Eastern Business Report. And then finally, we'll look at conversations around the market on the Afia segment. The Afia Business Morning takes center stage every weekday, 10 a.m. to 12 noon. My name is Ubon Kings. Welcome to the Afia Business Morning. Exchange is open today. The exchange in London opened an hour ago. The New York exchange is yet to open, while in China opening bells went off at 2 a.m. local time. Welcome to the opening bell segment. First, we're going to be taking a quick look at some business news stories making the rounds, starting from the continental economy, where it's reported that, Egyptian military agency is now in control of wheat imports. It's reported that an Egyptian military agency has assumed control of the country's strategic commodity imports, which has disrupted the global wheat market, as the shift replaces the decades-old state-run General Authority for Supply Commodities (GASC) and allows the agency to manage international buying tenders and make direct purchases. And away from that, let's take a look at activities from the global economy outside Africa now. U.S. House to remove Chinese telecoms equipment. It's reported that the U.S. House of Representatives is set to vote on an annual defense bill that includes just over $3 billion for U.S. telecom companies to remove equipment made by Chinese telecom firms Huawei and ZTE from American wireless networks to address security risks. Details of the stories and more will come to you on Global Business. So moving away from that real quickly, let's jump onto the floors of our featured exchanges this morning. Starting on the floors of the Nigerian exchange, like the state chart begins at home, so we'll start there, where the NGX all-share index over the weekend closed on a high, rising by 0.10% to close at 98,210.75 points. We're interested to know that a total of 1,040,986,631 shares, valued at 17,462,281,818 naira for cover, were traded across 7,220 deals, with equity capitalization of 59,534,115,056,943 naira 32 kobo. Now let's take a look at the biggest gainer and losers of the day. The biggest gainer of the day was Gold Brewers, which rose by 9.98%. Other gainers were the likes of Jupal Gold, Suna Shore, Sovereign Insurance, and NSL Tech. On the other hand, however, it topped the losers list with a decline of 4.62%. Other losers were the likes of Sterling Nigeria, Prestige, Cornhole PLC, and Champion Brewers. We'll take a short break now, and when we return, we'll be looking at activities from other selected exchanges and talk about the likes of the New York Stock Exchange, the London Stock Exchange, the Chinese Stock Exchange, of course, comprises the Shenzhen and Shanghai exchanges right after this timeout. The Afia Business Morning and indeed opening bell. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the Afia Business Morning, and you are watching Opening Bell, and we're moving straight to the floor of our New York Stock Exchange now. And well, it is mostly rises in index values across the board, and you're interested to know that the NYSE Composite DJ, the NYSE US 100 Index, the Dow Jones Industrial Average are all down at 0.25%, 0.19% and 0.28% respectively. However, on the other hand, we're interested to know that the S&P 500 index is up at 0.25%. The NYSE FANG TM index is up at 1.17%. The Nasdaq Composite and Nasdaq 100 are both up at 0.81% and 0.92% respectively. Away from that, let's move on swiftly to the London Stock Exchange this morning. London Stock Exchange, well, it's mostly dips in index values across the board, with the only riser there being the FTSE 250, which is up at 0.28%. However, the FTSE 100, FTSE 350 and FTSE All Share Index are all down at 0.49%, 0.39% and 0.38% respectively. Now we move over to the exchange at China, starting off with the exchange at Shanghai, where it is all rises in index values across the board, like you can see on the screen already, because the Shenzhen Composite Index, the ZSE Composite Index and the Chinex Index are all up at 1.47%, 1.24% and 2.05% respectively. But staying in China, let's move over to the exchange at Shanghai, where the repeat is the case, is all rises in index values across board, where the SSE Composite Index is up at 1.05%, the SSE 50 Index is up at 1.13%, the Star 50 Index is up at 1.26%, the SSE 180 Index, SSE 380 Index, CSI 300 Index all up at 1.07%, 1.11% and 1.31% respectively. We will go on another break, and when we return, we'll be looking at commodity prices as well as a consumer price watch in the open market. You may want to follow this program join in on the conversation on our dedicated Afia Business YouTube channel. Kindly type in the search bar www.youtube.com/Afia Business. And while you're there, do well to hit the like button. Remember, you should subscribe so you get notifications on all business-related content coming to you from Afia TV. You can also join us on Instagram. Follow us there with the handle at Afia Business _ to be part of our social media community. The Afia Business Morning and indeed Opening Bell. We'll be right back after this time out. Stay tuned. My name is Ubong Kings.
I am Marvelous Apamaga.
I am Chioma Akbala.
My name is Ifunaya Ndule, but I'm living in market speaking.
You're welcome back, and I am Ubong Kings. Still the Afia Business Morning. You're watching Opening Bell right here on Afia TV, and now we're going to be going out to check out prices with reference to commodity prices. Well, interestingly too, well, as far as precious metals is concerned, this morning there's absolutely no activity for gold today, and of course silver follows suit. However, palladium, platinum are both down at 0.86% and 0.61% respectively. And moving on, let's take a look at what's happening in the energy sector. Well, it's mostly all dips. Index values across board, except of course Eastern North, which is up at, and incidentally the only commodity that is up at 2.25%. However, natural gas is down 0.1%. Coal is down 0.66%. Oil Brent is down 1.35%. Oil Bonilite is down 2.84%. Brass River and Kwaibo both down with the same value of 0.26%. And moving on, let's take a look at industrial metals this morning. Industrial metals is a mixture, so to speak, of rises and dips in index values across board. With more of rises than dips, we have the commodities aluminium, iron ore, and zinc down at 1.40%, 2.09%, and 1.25% respectively. However, lead is up at 1.94%. Copper is up, nickel is up, tin is also up at 0.50%, 0.44%, and 0.35% respectively. You are watching the Afia Business Morning. This indeed is the opening bell. Do well to follow the program, join in on the conversation, and pretty much watching live on our dedicated Afia Business YouTube channel. Kindly type in the search bar www.youtube.com/Afia Business, and then do well to hit the like button. And remember, you should subscribe so you get notifications on all business-related content coming to you from Afia TV. You can also follow us on Instagram with the handle at Afia Business _ to be part of our social media community. Up next, we will take a look at the hikes in prices of food commodities in the open market, as well as hikes in fuel prices. And on that note, I'll see you tomorrow on the opening bell when the exchanges reopen for trading. The Afia Business Morning will be right back with a segment Global Business. My name is Ubong Kings. Stay tuned. Thank you for rejoining me on the Afia Business Morning. Welcome to Global Business, and here we'll be taking a look at business news stories around the continent of Africa and indeed the rest of the world. My name is Ubong Kings. Here are the headlines that I am tracking at the moment. Starting off with the business news stories from Africa, where it's reported that Egyptian military agency is now in control of wheat imports. And outside that, still taking a look at what is happening in China versus, the U.S. Well, U.S. House is to remove Chinese telecoms equipment. And away from that to the embattled Boeing story, still a lot of more stories with Boeing. Federal judge rejects Boeing's conspiracy case deal. We'll bring you details of these stories right after this time out. Stay tuned. You're watching Global Business right here on the Afia Business Morning, and we will begin with stories from Africa, where it's reported that an Egyptian military agency has assumed control of the country's strategic commodity imports, which has disrupted the global wheat market as the shift replaces the decade-old state-run General Authority for Supply Commodities, GASC, which allows the agency to manage international buying tenders and make direct purchases. However, Egypt, one of the world's largest wheat importers, previously relied on GASC as a part of the Ministry of Supply to procure grain for its population, where subsidized bread is a crucial staple for 70 million citizens. Meanwhile, under the President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi's government, military-owned firms in Egypt have seen significant growth, a development that has raised concerns among some business leaders and foreign investors, prompting the Egyptian government to defend the role of these companies, arguing that they are stepping in to address gaps in the market and ensure stability. Now, quickly, let's look at something very critical here. Key point of this story is the last paragraph that says that military-owned firms in Egypt have seen significant growth, and the government is arguing that they are stepping in to address, and this military establishment stepping to address gaps that meets the eye as far as the story is concerned. A cue for any responsible government will be how its citizens, business leaders, and foreign investors see certain actions and maybe inactions that they put up. Recall also that Egypt is one of the world's largest wheat importers and previously relied on the government to actually procure its grain for its population. There's also the fact that there is subsidized bread, which is pretty much a crucial staple for about 70 million citizens in Egypt. Now the question really is the President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi's government stylishly trying to kill this subsidy on bread and then decided to do it through military-owned firms? Well, only time will tell. We'll follow up with the story and give you updates as it unfolds. And moving on to other business news stories, from this time from the world of tech, it's reported that the U.S. House of Representatives is set to vote on an annual defense bill that includes just over $3 billion for U.S. telecom companies to remove equipment made by Chinese telecom firms Huawei and ZTE from American wireless networks to address security risks. The Federal Communications Commission has said removing the insecure equipment is estimated to cost $4.98 billion, but Congress previously only approved $1.9 billion for the RIP and Replace program. However, Washington has aggressively urged U.S. allies to purge Huawei and other Chinese gear from their wireless networks. Now, for sake of emphasis, and context, let me make some things clear. This, to me, really is the continuation of the sets of war the U.S. has decided to launch against China. First there was the electric vehicle war, then the move to semiconductor war, and now it's telecoms. Now, you know there is a particular statement that says necessity really is the mother of invention. And now, what if all that China actually does need at this time was or are these bans to pretty much catapult them into surpassing the US economy? Think about it. Recall also that the Chinese government had earlier sometime last month revealed that it was going to be giving a form of subsidies of a sort to companies venturing into chip and the semiconductor space. See what's going to happen soon? Well, fingers crossed, we'll find out how all of this pans out eventually. Moving on to other business news stories, and this time we're going to UK, where it's reported that the UK insurance firm Aviva has improved on an earlier deal rejected by a smaller competitor, Direct Line, where Direct Line has agreed a takeover offer from Aviva that will pave the way for the combined group to own a fifth of the UK motor insurance market. On the terms of the new offer, Aviva will pay 129.7 pence in cash and 0.2867 new Aviva shares will be issued for a Direct Line share, where it was revealed that a dividend of up to 5 pence will also be given to Direct Line shareholders ahead of the deal's completion. Anyway, just like suspected, I mean, mergers, more mergers, acquisitions, more acquisitions, and for the sake of business survival, there usually is a need for these things to happen. And in this case, it's pretty much a takeover offer, right? In other words, one company will cease to exist and the other will exist, right? Now, the parties, as far as I'm concerned, from this story, the price is right, the parties are satisfied, and the dotted lines will pretty much be signed real soon. But one concern, however, is what percentage of workforce will be retained and what percentage will be relieved of their duties? Well, we'll find out soon enough, won't we? You're watching the Global Business right here on the Afia Business Morning on Afia TV. Kindly join in the conversation, and you can watch it live right now on our dedicated Afia Business YouTube channel. Kindly type in the search bar www.youtube.com/Afia Business. And while you're there, do well to hit the like button. Remember, you should also subscribe so you get notifications on all business-related content coming to you from Afia TV. And while you're at it, also take note that Afia Business, we're also on Instagram with the handle at Afia Business_. Do well to follow us there to be part of our social media community. Up next will be more business news stories from the automotive world and the weather various space right after this time out. Stay tuned. You're welcome back to the Afia Business Morning Round here on Afia TV, and you are watching Global Business. Now to the rest of our stories. And now we're moving on to business stories from the automotive world, where it's reported that major Chinese electric vehicles following higher European Union EU tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles have found a way to sidestep the EU's to further slash the cost and impact of tariffs. Now, the Chinese hybrid vehicles are expected to provide tough competition for both Japanese and European models, with companies such as Toyota, Honda, and Nissan already seeing drop in sales, partly because of this, as European car makers such as Volkswagen are also being impacted. Now, quickly, let me just tell you real quickly that this drama is gradually unfolding. Remember how I said earlier that necessity is the mother of invention? Now we've seen Chinese automakers literally adapting to this ban and tariffs by doing something very innovative. Now, rather than concentrate on the electric vehicles, they are now concentrating more on hybrid cars. Why? Because there is no tariff yet on those vehicles. Now, these are vehicles that pretty much can drive on fossil fuels and electric power. Meanwhile, some other Chinese car makers have decided to move the assembly and production facilities to the continent, that's to Europe, to further slash the cost and impact of tariffs. Well, we'll see how this narrative plays out, because on one hand, clearly you're trying to run away from something. On the other hand, the people who are putting the ban on you are putting it for specific reasons, and possibly they may extend the ban to also hybrid vehicles, but we'll see how it pans out. Then they decided to move to Europe. Some have moved to Europe. Now the question is, will Europe, that's EU now, still impose a ban on them, seeing that they're actually producing right there in Europe? Well, only time will tell. Finally, from the world of aerospace, let's tell you that the federal judge has recently rejected a deal that would have let the troubled aerospace giant Boeing plead guilty to a felony conspiracy charge and pay a fine for misleading U.S. regulators about the 737 MAX jetliner before two of the planes crashed, killing 346 people. This ruling creates uncertainty around criminal prosecution of the aerospace giant in connection with the development of its best-selling airline plane. Meanwhile, the judge gave Boeing and the Justice Department 30 days to explain how they plan to proceed. However, they could negotiate a new plea agreement, or prosecutors could move to put the company on trial. Now, let me try to put this or break this down of a sort real quickly. Well, truth is, Boeing's woes continue. Right from the beginning of this year up until now, it's been one sad tale to another. And oh well, I'll just allow Fox 13 Seattle to tell us more on this story about the judge rejecting Boeing's plea deal over 737 MAX crashes. Let's take a look.
My daughter, and I don't want this to happen to anybody else.
For Nadia Milleron, mom of crash victim Samia Stumo, the holidays are too quiet without her daughter.
The only reason that I'm able to keep going forward is to try to help prevent a third crash.
Stumo was on the Boeing MAX 8 plane that crashed in Ethiopia in March 2019. In light of the door plug blowout on Alaska Airlines over Oregon in January and other problems, Milleron felt the old Boeing DOJ plea deal lacked accountability and was frustrated it allowed Boeing to be part of the process of choosing the independent monitor.
It's not complete justice. There's no accountability for the individual corporate executives, but there is going to be accountability for Boeing.
This is unusual for a judge to reject a complex plea deal like this. And it's a big win for the families.
Aviation attorney Mark Lindquist represents the wife of crash victim Darcy Belanche.
One of the problems with the proposed plea deal was that Boeing had their hands in determining who the independent monitor was going to be. This would be like having a criminal defendant choose their own parole officer.
In rejecting the deal, U.S. District Judge Reed O'Connor argued that the selection process for the government-appointed monitor would be affected by diversity, equity, and inclusion or DEI policies. He says that he wants competence to be at the forefront of the decision-making process, writing, quote, "In a case of this magnitude, it is in the utmost interest of justice that the public is confident this monitor selection is done based solely on competency." The judge also suggested that the appointee should be reporting their findings to the court rather than the Justice Department.
I suspect there's going to be a new plea agreement where the independent monitor will report directly to the judge rather than to Boeing or the Department of Justice.
Milleron hopes the court has the final say on the appointment of a monitor.
And that means that there will be increased safety, and that's our goal.
Oh well, we will fill up with this story as well as other stories as they unfold and keep you in the loop. I'm talking about keeping you in the loop in what you may want to get to our dedicated Afia Business YouTube channel. Watching live, drop off a comment or two by going to www.youtube.com/Afia Business. And while you're there, remember you should like and subscribe so you get notifications on all business-related content coming to you from Afia TV. You can also follow us on Instagram with the handle at Afia Business _ to be part of our social media community. You're still watching the Afia Business Morning Live right here in Enugu State, Nigeria. Coming next will be me, pretty much, taking a look at conversations I'm planning on having this week on the Eastern Business Report. The Afia Business Morning will be right back with the Eastern Business Report. My name is Ubon Kings. Stay tuned. My name is Ubon Kings.
I am Marvelous Afia.
I am Chioma Okpala.
My name na Ifunaya Ndule, but I'm even a market speaking.
Business Morning. Join me every weekday on the Afia Business Morning as we bring to you a trilogy of business segments. The opening bell, where we see activities from our selected stock exchanges. The global business, where we bring you up to speed on business activities making the rounds all over the world. And we bring the conversation home on the segment Eastern Business Reports, as we discuss business activities and issues bedeviling businesses in the Southeast region. My name is Ubong Kings. Join the Afia Business Morning every weekday 10 a.m. to 12 noon. Exclusive to Afia TV on DSTV channel 254 and GoTV channel 17. The Afia Business Morning. Business unusual.
You're watching the Afia Business Morning, and this indeed is the Eastern Business Report, which is designed to bring you up to speed on business activities and, of course, policies as well, affecting businesses and the economy of the Southeastern region of Nigeria. It comes right after Global Business on the Afia Business Morning, and on today's edition of the Eastern Business Report, well, we'll be looking at developing stories, conversations around the business space. Yes, indeed, it's the 9th day, as it were, of December 2024. 2 weeks and about 2 days to Christmas, and a lot of dynamics are playing out with reference to business activities, the homecoming fever, and of course, the Yuletide palaver. I'll take you on a roller coaster journey around conversations I would be building upon in the course of this week, from conversations around the fact that it's Yuletide. And it is reported that, well, cash scarcity is biting harder as banks shun CBN threat. Also look at Nigeria's electricity wahala, where it is reported that TCN is seeking more investment for grid expansion, of course, to issues around the reportage that Smedan is poised to provide loans to 140 MSMEs. But then, it is on record that there's about 4 million MSMEs in Nigeria, but we're talking about just 140. It's just a drop in an ocean. Now, all of these issues and more will form the basis of our session here together. My name is Ubong Kings. Welcome. All right, you're welcome back. It's still the Eastern Business Report, and I did say when we're going to be looking at conversations that I intend building upon in the course of the week. And first thing I want to start with is, well, is the Yuletide palaver, where it's reported that cash scarcity is biting harder as banks are shunning, as it were, CBN threat. Now, days after the Central Bank of Nigeria ordered deposit money banks to guard against artificial cash scarcity in the country, findings has revealed that the trend still persists in some parts of the country. According to the circular dated November 29, the CBN directed banks to ensure efficient cash disbursement through both automated teller machines and over-the-counter channels, warning of penalties for non-compliance. Now, the Apex Bank also urged customers expressing challenges to report incidents with details such as account name, bank name, transaction amount, and date. Dedicated phone numbers and email addresses were also released for Nigerians to report difficulties accessing cash. But then, was that the case? Let's take a look at this report by TVC News, and when we come back, we'll continue the conversation. Please stay.
Trust is fundamental to fostering digital transactions, and we must take every necessary step to preserve that trust in our payment systems. These delays often disproportionately affect vulnerable segments of our population. We also recognize the ongoing challenges with cash availability at ATMs, which disproportionately affect ordinary Nigerians. To address this, we are conducting spot checks across deposit money banks, DMBs, and will impose penalties on the underperforming institutions. Customers are encouraged to report any difficulties withdrawing cash from bank branches or ATMs directly to the CBN through designated phone numbers and email addresses for their respective states. A doubling of monthly remittances.
Mr. Olaimi Kadoso also expressed concerns over Nigeria's headline inflation rate, hinting that there would be a downtrend in 2025.
Targeted support to these critical sectors is vital to reducing inflation, creating jobs, and boosting overall output. The case for economic diversification, ladies and gentlemen, has never been more urgent. Has never been more urgent.
That's just an excerpt I was going to take from that, where the president, the governor of the CBN, did talk about all of those things, reference to cash availability. But then this is not different from what happened about 2 weeks ago, sometime in November, in Imo State, where I was opportune to go through the archives of Afia TV to get this report all around the unavailability of cash. And then this is pretty much what it is at the moment. But let's take a look at this reportage, and when we come back, we'll continue.
The last time Nigerians saw a limited flow of cash was in 2023. Whereas the situation is not as bad as it was last year, there is no denying that banks now dispense limited Naira notes to customers. Point-of-sales business owners, generally known as POS operators, here in Owerri, reveal that banks dispense at most 20,000 Naira over the counter. According to them, many have, for this reason, resorted to buying cash from business traders. Thus, they are left with no other choice than to increase charges for transactions.
Recently, we are experiencing a scarcity of cash based on banks are no more giving us a reliable quantity of cash that we want. They normally say that they are practicing this cashless policy of the thing. So they normally give 10,000, sometimes 20K as a limit, base limit. So what we normally do, we now go to business owners who sells things in bulk, to make transfer to them so that they can give us the cash that they sell out. Then we do the transfer to them. That's how we normally get cash nowadays. Not from.
So this would make the market people who have access to cash in one way or the other to sell cash to you. Because when you ask them for cash, instead of them to deposit and pay you, the POS person, they will tell you that you have to buy from them. As of them, we usually buy 500 Naira per 100,000. But currently, they have started selling 1,000 Naira per 100,000. And some go as far as selling 1,500 per 100,000. Because they know very well that we don't have a choice than to buy from them. I mean, this is our business, so we can't just shut down the business because of the scarcity of cash. So we have to cut cash in one way or the other just to feed the society and people, to still keep the business going. And this has affected the price of our business because some people do 400 Naira per 10,000, some 200 Naira per 5,000, while some 300 Naira per 10,000. And I don't know how long this is going to take.
Sonia, another POS operator, believes that this new trend of buying cash from businessmen is a major factor for the limited dispensing of cash in the banks.
So anybody that is in business and say that the person is going to bank or the POS are the ones causing this scarcity of money, no, we are not the ones. The only thing I can say is that the only thing that I know that POS is doing, that all these business places where we go to collect cash, we are the ones hindering them from depositing money in the bank. Do you understand? Instead of them to after selling, instead of them to take the money to bank and deposit it, we the POS will go to them direct and collect, by them making bank not getting enough cash to deposit.
Smart, who is a customer of a popular Nigerian bank, joined the queue at the automated teller machine for several minutes, only to be able to withdraw a limited amount, to his dismay.
I was not able to withdraw money because the queue there is much. People that are even standing there, most of them, they say that what the ATM was able to give them is 5,000, and there is a particular man there that is there before me. He said they want to withdraw about 50,000 naira. So I can't stay and wait for the man to withdraw 5,000 naira to get up to the amount he wants to withdraw. So even the POS I went, they were not able to give me. They are calling a lot of money. That if I can be able to take 10,000 naira, I will give them some amount of money, 400 naira. Some said 500. So I don't really know. I don't know, because I can't see where I can withdraw 10,000 naira with 500 naira or 400 naira. How much debt do I have? And this is money I want to, even that the only amount that is in my account is that 10,000 naira. If I'll be able to withdraw the 10,000 naira, how much will I give them as their own charge?
Nobody knows how long this situation will last, as it has been this way since December last year. Nonetheless, there are high hopes that things will get back to normalcy soon. In Owerri, Miriam Onyebule for Afia Television.
Miriam, and now you see it. Now you've seen it firsthand. That's exactly what it is. But then this was something that happened about 2 weeks ago, and then it's still nothing has really changed. That's the truth. And in the course of this week, we will discuss further, sharing the implication on the economy of Nigeria and by extension the southeast part of Nigeria. Another story that I intend looking at this week as a developing story will be this one about Nigeria's dire electricity situation. The fact that TCN is seeking more investment for grid expansion. And interesting, you may be interested to know that the Managing Director of Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, and Engineer Sule Ahmed Abdulaziz, had appealed to the federal government to invest more in power sectors. Electricity is one of the major infrastructure industries and masses need for development. He made the appeal at the inspection of the commissioned power transformers at its substations in Lagos, while commenting on the federal government's projection, as it were, to increase by 10,000 megawatts by 2025. But the question that comes to mind is, I would love to ask really is, how did we get to this point where our power issues are so bad? Oh well, thanks to TVC News, I was opportunity to stumble on this particular reportage on your screen right now that featured Mr. Omei telling us more about these issues. Let's take a look.
On April 15th, there was another grid collapse, and that was blamed on a fire at the AFAM 5 plant on the 330 kV line. Once that fire started, it tripped off AFAM 3 and AFAM 6, and from there, other plants started shutting down. Remember, there was a time when a minister said that our problem in Nigeria wasn't generation. Well, it is generation, distribution, transmission, and everything else. Because when a plant trips off, and the system operator is not able to react quickly enough to disconnect some load to make sure that the supply of electricity balances out with the load that is online, you're going to have other plants trip off to protect themselves. So that tells you we have outdated equipment all around. It tells you we don't have enough generation capacity. We actually are still talking about 4,000 megawatts in a country of 200 million people, whereas Egypt, with about 111 million people, half our population, generates about 60,000 megawatts. So we're way off. Our generation is way off. Transmission is extremely poor. And of course, distribution doesn't work. Then the system that runs the whole industry is outdated. So you're going to continue seeing this problem. You know, in this year alone, in just 4 months, we've already had 7 collapses. In the 9 years between 2010 and 2019, we had 209 grid collapses. So it's almost like we're competing with ourselves to do worse than we've done before. But we are hopeful. We're hopeful that things will get better, but that takes effort, focused effort.
Those are just some of the conversations we're going to be having in the course of the week. And we'll take a short break. When we come back, we're going to be finding out, okay, we're going to be talking about the other conversations we'll be having in the course of this week. But then again, you can be part of this conversation. Drop off a comment or two on our dedicated Afia Business YouTube channel. you kindly type in the search bar www.youtube.com/Afia Business, and while you're there, do want to hit the like button. Remember, you should subscribe so you get notifications on all business-related content coming to you from Afia TV. Meanwhile, we're also available on socials, more specifically on, of course, Instagram with the handle at Afia Business _. We'll take a short break. When we come back, more coming your way on the Eastern Business Report right here on the Afia Business Morning. Stay tuned. Glad to have you rejoin us. I have shared with you two developing stories that I'd love to explore this week on the Eastern Business Report. One was about the Julitai Palapa, cash scarcity biting harder as banks shun CBN threat, and the other was about Nigeria's dire electricity situation, where the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, is seeking more investment for grid expansion. And now, the other important issue we will be exploring this week will be about the fact that Smedan is to provide loans to 140 MSMEs. And interestingly too, this is the fact is the Small and Medium Enterprise Development Agency of Nigeria announced plans to provide loans to 140 micro, small and medium-sized enterprises. This comes as Olama Greek had provided mixers to 700 bakers and confectioners. Smedan Director General and Chief Executive Officer Charles Odi reviewed this during the graduation ceremony of bakers in Abuja. Odi, who noted that Nigeria has about 39,456,420 small enterprises, urged the graduates to utilize the resources provided to scale their businesses. You know, this reminds me, as of my last count, we had about 40 million small enterprises in Nigeria. Now, what really is 140 business loans to a huge population or a huge business base of 40 million people, right? Anyway, I have excerpts from a particular footage on Smedan and key players calling for increased support for MSMEs. Let's take a look real quickly.
It's a roll call of key players in the MSME sector. Present in this room are private sector players and government representatives, all gathered here to address challenges facing the sector. At the heart of the discussions was the call for increased support to Nigeria's micro, small and medium enterprises, which number around 40 million and account for 84% of employment and nearly 50% of the national GDP. At a keynote address, some of the speakers highlight the importance of training and capacity development for businesses.
Just about 12 entrepreneurs were able to access 600 million naira that we have earmarked to borrow to small businesses. So we began asking the problems, and we have some of our financial institutions here. We began asking the problem. If you ask all of them, they will tell you that there's money for small businesses. But the problem is that our small businesses are not equipped enough to access that funding.
The government can create a very conducive business environment. We can provide access to finance and promote entrepreneurship by investing in education, in training, in infrastructure, capacity building. We can equip MSMEs with the tools and resources they need to succeed.
While reiterating the federal government's commitment to creating access to finance, the Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment announced that the government is set to launch another set of investment funds for businesses.
Talking about access to finance, we're about to launch the $10 billion Nigeria Global Investment Fund. This is a wholly equity finance, equity funding that will provide the necessary and the needed capital to stimulate innovation, fund seed capital into budding entrepreneurs and innovators to incubate and accelerate them to become the champions of Nigeria.
Addressing concerns on the role of lawmakers in addressing regulatory challenges facing the MSME sector, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, disclosed that the National Assembly is committed to initiating growth-targeted legislation to support businesses across the country.
We recognize that the path to a thriving economy is paved with enabling legislation and effective constituency interventions that empower our entrepreneurs. We are dedicated to creating an environment where homegrown successes can flourish, and we are actively pursuing legislative measures that support the digital and innovation-driven initiatives.
With 60% of the country's population considered as the youth, increased promotion of entrepreneurship might be the solution to addressing the country's unemployment.
Oh well, we keep hearing large sums of money that has been set aside to cater to MSMEs, but many times those monies end as where it is. A lot of people call it audio money. Oh well, this issue and other issues will be looked at in detail later this week. And on that note, I announce that this is the size of the package today on the Eastern Business Report. You are still watching the Afia Business